Leaders of the human hive, I stand and speak before you today, not as a leader, but as a savior. As you've seen before, I can destroy your cities at sheer will, unless you turn over yourselves and the human inhabitants over to me. I see the fear and doubt in your eyes, but trust me when I say that I have not come to destroy, but to enlighten. To defeat an enemy, you must know them, not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, and art. I have lived among you for centuries, hidden, studying you, through your endless wars and corrupt politics and the mistreatment of your own species. Mankind has now received an incurable virus. I'm sad to say that mankind itself is that virus. You speak of peace and tranquility, and yet you have allowed corrupt and blind leaders to mistwist your words in your own constitutions and governments. You have allowed Stalins, Hitlers, Mussolinis, and Trumps to guide your own governments and systems, until, I'm sad to say, you have become the very thing you people claim to destroy. Where I come from, the people of Syndulla do not believe in multiple laws and governments and constitutions, but one quote and one simple rule. Let there be peace and love amongst all races and life. Disrupt natural law, and you shall perish by the civil knife. My friends, you look upon me with fear, but I look upon you with hope. Leaders of the world, of the United Nation, I ask of you to pledge yourselves to me, to my people, and our ideal philosophies, and together we can unite this world and worlds like it under one united hope. Pledge yourselves to us, and if you refuse, well, ask Noah. Thank you.
When you Google best directors, Google actually shows you this lineup of photos that links to a bunch of different Wikipedia pages for what they consider to be best directors. And about 50 of these show up, and most of them look like these men here. And aside from Spike Lee or Kurosawa, really it's mostly just old white guys at this point. But when you look at the 50 that Google shows you, you get 2 women. Isn't that nice? When you look up best directors on Google, you also get links to things like AMC's top 50 directors of all time, or Entertainment Weekly's best directors of all time. And those are they usually show also about 50 directors. And on both of those lists, which are at the top of the Google search result, there are absolutely 0 women. In the Academy Awards 88-year history, there have only been 4 women ever nominated for Best Director, and only 1 has ever won, and that was Kathryn Bigelow, who is seen here holding her Oscar. Since then, no more women have been nominated or have won. So today I'm going to be talking to you about a few reasons why studios feel like they can't hire or take a chance on female directors, and I'm going to go ahead and debunk some of those myths for you. So to start, she's not ready. there's this idea that female directors require more experience than male directors. Recently, Kathleen Kennedy, who is the producer and really the creative head of Lucasfilm, which is in charge of Star Wars and lots of other action films, said we need to not, when asked why they weren't hiring more female filmmakers, we need to not go to a filmmaker who's done one movie and expect them to come in and do something the size of Star Wars without having an opportunity to find other movies they can do along the way. Well, that's very interesting considering that Kathleen Kennedy chose two male directors, novice directors, to direct the next two Star Wars films. You have Gareth Edwards, who got the chance to direct Godzilla only after he had made the micro-budget indie Monsters, which made very little money, and that was his debut film. And then she also was able to choose, or her husband actually helped choose, Colin Trevorrow, who is going to be directing Episode 9, who, before directing Jurassic World, had only ever directed a $500,000 budget film movie called Safety Not Guaranteed. So this idea that women need more experience or aren't ready is very, very silly, because they are happily giving out these sort of roles to male directors who have just as little experience as female directors. So another myth, she didn't really direct her movie. So this is something that has come up a lot with a lot of first-time female filmmakers. You'll see that after their film comes out and there's a lot of critical approval, and even if it does well in the box office, a lot of people like to say that it wasn't really her. Like when Sofia Coppola debuted her first film, The Virgin Suicides, in 1997, I believe. It was a huge critical hit. Everybody loved it. They were so impressed by her, but there were all these whispers of, I think Spike Jonze, her boyfriend at the time, actually directed most of that movie. Whereas when Spike Jonze, his feature film debut came out that year, Being John Malkovich, no one was whispering about whether or not Sofia Coppola had anything to do with that. Even the Oscar-winning Kathryn Bigelow has been plagued by rumors that her collaborator, Mark Boal, who wrote Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker, has, much more to do with the directing than she does, or than is publicized. So that's just silly, because it's such a double standard. Most male filmmakers who are putting out their first films don't have to worry about those type of rumors, like smearing their reputation. Women don't want to direct action. No one even has bothered asking any women if they want to direct action, which is the first thing here. Even huge franchises that have female, centered, plots and characters, like The Hunger Games or Divergent, were all made by men. And Warner Brothers has tried to do a little bit more with this by recently hiring and bringing on Patty Jenkins to direct the new Wonder Woman movie. So there's that. However, I think it's just a very silly idea that women don't want to direct action because, number one, no one's even bothered asking them. And what's really at the heart of this is the really sexist assumption that women lack the sort of visual sensibility to create an action movie, when most of the action sequences you see in big budget films like Marvel, Warner Brothers, all that sort of stuff, are not even directed by anyone except for the VFX supervisors who make them. Most of the time they're just signed off on. And there's people like John Watts, who's directing the next Spider-Man film, and Taika Waititi, who's directing the next Thor film. Both of those people, or men, have absolutely no action experience making movies. Taika Waititi is actually most well known for his work on Flight of the Conchords, which is a comedic show from New Zealand on HBO. We asked one, and she said no. This is really interesting because the former head of Sony, Amy Pascal, when she was asked why they weren't having women direct more big-budget films, she said that I have begged Kathryn Bigelow to make Spider-Man, James Bond, anything I can think of. So far, I haven't hooked her. There's this idea that Catherine Bigelow is apparently the only female filmmaker in the world that wants to direct big budget movies, which is just silly. She's absolutely not, and there are hundreds of female filmmakers looking for their chance to start something, to do something like these novice male directors have been able to do, and it just hasn't happened for them because the studios don't want to put their trust in women. So why do we need female filmmakers? Why is it why does this precedent really need to be set? So according to a study conducted in 2014 at San Diego State University Center for Television and Film, Martha Lausen, who conducted the study, she found that putting a woman in the director's chair actually makes it much more likely that the film will also achieve gender parity and equality in all the other aspects of the other behind-the-scenes roles. So you have a lot more diversity of gender once you put a woman at the head, which is something that's really important because there's a lot of female film people, not just directors, looking for work in all departments. It's also, why do we need them? Because there is a substantial amount of evidence that there is an incredible amount of gender-biased hiring practices in Hollywood, so much so that the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, has actually conducted an investigation into Hollywood's hiring practices and found that there was plenty of evidence of discrimination against women when it came to hiring in not just female or not just directing roles, but lots of behind-the-scene roles. They found that women make up just 20% of all directors, writers, producers, executive producers, editors, and cinematographers who worked on theatrically released films in 2014. 20%! And we are half of the population. More than half of the population. And women really deserve for their stories to be told by other women. And not even just that, but any little girl that dreams of making movies deserves to have just as many female role models as little boys who want to make movies have male role models. So what can we do to fix this? Just hire them! No one needs, if they're not looking for experience from men, then they don't need to be looking for experience from women. The only way they're going to get this so-called experience that they need is if you hire them. Thank you very much.
My name's Hannah, and I'm here to help you plan your Disney trip so you can get the most out of your vacation. So I'm just going to go over a few basic things I already know about you. You're a family of 5, and you're staying from October 11th to the 16th, and you're staying at the Grand Floridian Resort, which is located right here. It's the closest resort to the Magic Kingdom, and there are 3 different options to get to the Magic Kingdom from your resort. You can either take the monorail, which would be the fastest travel to take. It would be at least a minute. That's all I'm asking. A minute of your time. Boom, you're at your resort, and then bam, you're at a park. How fun would that be? I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Disney World, and bam, you're there. You're ready to sign in. You're ready to have fun. So, the other ways you can get there as well are the boat and the bus. So the boat will take you about 5 minutes of your time as well. We like to get as many guests as possible on the boat and then get you there as fast as you can while you can enjoy the scenery. The bus will take you about 2 minutes because there are stoplights and we just have to get you out of the resort as well. If you'd like to get to the other parks, you will have to take either the TTC, which is located right by the Wilderness Lodge Resort, which you can take the monorail loop that you also take to get to the Magic Kingdom on. You get off at that monorail, and then you can switch to a different monorail that is only the Epcot loop. There's no other stops in between it. Otherwise, the bus, you'll have to wait about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get to Animal Kingdom, which is the farthest park away from your resort, or Hollywood Studios, and you can take one to Epcot if you really want to. So now I'm going to go over some special events we have while you are here and the park hours. So the special events we have our Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, where even you, as adults, can dress up in costumes if you want to. Normally, we wouldn't allow you to dress up in costumes because it would confuse the children and make the magical experience more dull. So you can dress up as Anna, Elsa, you can dress up as whoever you want, preferably like Disney characters, but you can dress up whoever you want. Your kids and yourselves can go around the park and get candy. Candy stops you can go to as many times as you want. There are about 10 candy stops all over the Magic Kingdom. And also we have special fireworks for you as well. Along with the bonus of being in the park for this event, it is closed for people who only have tickets for the event. We also have extra magic hours, which happen in the morning and the nighttime, and I'll go over more of that later. We have park hopper tickets, which I've heard you guys are interested in taking and doing. So that allows you to go to each park as many times as you want. You can go to any park every day for how many times. Like you can go in for 5 minutes, go back out, switch to a different park, whatever your plans are. That also can include with the water parks, which are only open till 5 p.m. The last thing we have going on is our Epcot Wine and Dine Festival, so that is for 21-year-olds and up. So your little ones will not be able to come with you. And you'll go around Epcot in the World Showcase where they have China, Japan, Norway, etc. And we offer you to have wine and beer there. So since you are staying from October 11th to the 16th, on the first day I suggest you to come to the Magic Kingdom, because who doesn't want to go to Disney World and go to the Magic Kingdom their first day and see Cinderella's castle? Your heart will stop. Also, it is our busiest park and we have the most rides at the park as well. You do not have to go with this option. As you can see, I've listed on this board 2 different options. So your second option would be to go to Hollywood Studios for about half the time and then switch over to Epcot to get that extra hour. The following day is a Tuesday, and I have 3 different parks I would choose for you to go to. So you could go to Animal Kingdom in the morning or Hollywood Studios in the morning, and then transfer over to the Magic Kingdom because the Magic Kingdom has extra magic hours from midnight till 2 a.m. How fun would that be to go to the Magic Kingdom until 2 a.m.? You won't have to wait in any ride lines that long because they're all going to be walk-ons. Even if they say 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to be a walk-on, trust me. So on the 13th, I suggest you, for this day, you're going to go to Epcot for the morning because there are extra magic hours. And then you can transfer over to the Magic Kingdom because you should use that day for your Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween tickets as well, because only the people who have the tickets can be in the park, along with people normally who buy the tickets only stay on property. That's a bonus as well for extra magic hours because only property guests get to go earlier in the park. I'm going to skip to Saturday, which you can spend a whole day at Animal Kingdom if you really want to. Since you do have little ones, there are many different things you can do. We don't have as many rides there, but there are activities like the Wilderness Explorers from Up. If you're familiar with that, you can earn your little badges and your little ones can learn how to do the caw signals and everything. It's really cute, and we'll have maps for you for the different locations. Also, we have the Animal Kingdom Lion King Festival, which there are 4 different sections. There's an elephant section, a lion section, and certain people get chosen out of your group to come down and they'll make the noises, and it's sort of like a fun competition, but also the performers are there, and you can see like a 10-foot size Pumbaa and Timon, and it's awesome. We have about 8 of those shows a day as well. It's about a 30 to 60 minute show. And then our second show we have, it's the newer one. It's Finding Nemo the Musical, which we have about 4 to 5 shows a day as well. That one's a 90-minute show, and the cast members, as we call them, or the character performers, they can hold these sticks that have huge octopuses or anything you can find in the ocean, and they'll be like right in front of you, and it feels like you're actually underwater. Now, the final day you are sadly leaving us, so I suggest for you to only go to one park. Since you're closest to the Magic Kingdom, I would suggest to go to that park, and also because which is the better park to go to on your last day than Magic Kingdom? You started and you would end with that park as well. Since you are leaving on the 7:15 flight, the Magical Express people will pick you up 3 hours in advance, so you have time to check in, get your bags, maybe go to gift shops or get food. So I would suggest you to not leave the park any later than 3:30. Now there are some tips and tricks I want to tell you about before I am done informing you. So this is the Magic Kingdom. We have 5 different lands, unless you count Main Street USA. So what you're going to want to know is what is this that I'm wearing? Well, it's a magic band, if you'd like to look at that. So on these magic bands, it holds your key to the world card, which used to be like to get to all the different parks, as well as your park hopper, your credit card, and you put a 4 to 8 digit PIN on there so nobody else can use it, which you can use for food, you can buy merchandise, and then it also has fast passes on it. Fast passes let you get onto the rides faster, and so you don't have to wait in the very long queue lines, which aren't going to be as long due to it being our off season. I suggest you to pick these top 3 fast passes because these are normally the longest waits for the rides. So there's 2 rides in Fantasyland. Our newest ride is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That one anybody of age likes to go on, and it's from Seven Dwarfs, as you can guess. Then there's Peter Pan's Flight. Peter Pan's Flight normally is a 90-minute wait no matter what the season. So if you do, make sure you get that fast pass first. And then the final one is in Tomorrowland, which is Space Mountain. And fast passes last from an hour. So say you have a 1:15 to 2:15 time wait for the fast pass. I would suggest you to start in a certain land. So say you have a fast pass in Fantasyland at 1:15. So you could start in Adventureland or Tomorrowland and make your way there in time to use your fast pass. And as soon as you're done using your fast passes, you can go to a fast pass kiosk and get a new fast pass for a certain time. And those are some of the tips and tricks and things I have for you to have a great Disney vacation. Thank you.